Namaskar, I'm Ashok here, and I have the presence of Dr. Sudhir Bisht with me. Sudhir, namaskar to
Namaskar.
you. While we are sitting in Delhi, in terms of focusing on what is happening in Delhi, and that reference takes me to the fact that Delhi has seen a sort of a political roller coaster in terms of the previous chief minister getting in and out of jail on bail. Then there is another sitting chief minister who said that she is going to be taking care of her responsibilities like Bharatji did. So there were quite unusual sort of a political dramatic events that unfolded. Now, where we are in terms of Congress relationship with its allies, including mainly Aam Aadmi Party, raise hue and cry about the role of Congress, etc. So, talk to me overall. Where do you see different parties? And if before I let you respond, I would also mention that the major players in terms of the parties are, of course, Aam Aadmi Party, then Bharatiya Janata Party, then
Congress Party.
Congress Party. So now Congress looks not a very promising party at the moment. But let us begin with the reference of Aam Aadmi Party, and how do you see it is likely to fare in the upcoming Delhi Assembly elections?
Thank you, Ashokji, very much for having me on your show. So let me give you a brief kind of a scenario as to what is happening all around. So elections have been announced, of course, and the day of the polling is 5th of February. So there is not much time. What is the chief characteristic of this election is that it is there is no prominent party or there is no prominent wave in favor or in or against any party. So this election is too close to call, so to say. Of course, and mind you, there have not been, because Delhi, although numerically it sends only very few MPs, I think it sends 7 MPs to the Lok Sabha,
Correct.
and yet it is very important because this is the seat of power. Okay, so the chief minister of a Delhi may not have the power of a full chief minister of a real state, and yet it is very important because it is in the it's at the center of all the affairs, and yet not a single exit poll has been carried out. So this means that even the pollster are not taking the risk of calling a poll. Congress is fighting against Aam Aadmi Party, and if you see, Congress appears to be as much hostile to Aam Aadmi Party as it is hostile to Bharatiya Janata Party. So this may lead to some kind of a fragmentation of votes, of anti-BJP votes. Okay, BJP as always is alone, but surprisingly, or maybe not so surprisingly, it has given 2 seats to two of its NDA allies. One seat has gone to the party of Mr. Paswan, and one seat has gone to Janata Dal United. Aam Aadmi Party is all guns blazing, all alone. Right now, it is very difficult to predict because this election is too close to call. But if you see what most people are saying, that it will not be a kind of a walkover for Aam Aadmi Party this time around. And there are certain pockets where there will be a very fierce contest. And Congress is likely to play spoil sport if Mr. Arvind Kejriwal finds himself with a very thin majority, or even if he is on the losing side, then the chief blame will go to the Congress party for splitting the vote. So one thing is clear: this is the first election which has proved that India Alliance, if you would like to call, is no longer a tangible alliance, and it has all but disintegrated.
So the alliance has disintegrated, no doubt. Let us stay focused on Aam Aadmi Party. Do you think the entry and exit from jail of Arvind Kejriwal, who again that Shishmahal and his claims of being a very very hard, honest guy, and the image which is now out in public in terms of the expenditure of his bungalow, etc., and of course the liquor scam. In spite of all this, do you think Aam Aadmi Party holds adequate, respectable position in the minds of Delhi assembly voters?
This is a very difficult question you have asked me. The any other person who would have been in and out of jail, but we have the recent case of Mr. Soren, who was in jail, and then he has swept the elections in Jharkhand. So, and the but the image of Mr. Soren and his party is one thing, and the image of Aam Aadmi Party is quite another thing. After all, Aam Aadmi Party was voted to power three times now. Once very briefly, the first time, solely on the plank of anti-corruption. The stand they have taken and their solemn pledge that they would like to lead a simple life, life which is devoid of any sophistry, and a life which is on the ideals laid down by Mahatma Gandhi or Anna Hazare ji.
Correct.
That position has taken a massive, massive beating. However, if it were any other person but Arvind Kejriwal, the party would have been in the risk of getting completely wiped out. There is some credibility which remains, and that is why I am saying it is not going to be easy for Aam Aadmi Party. Unfortunately, Bharatiya Janata Party, which is in a pole position to take or snatch the throne from Arvind Kejriwal, does not have a chief ministerial face. Bharatiya Janata Party has proven time and again that it can go to an election without a prospective chief ministerial face and can yet win the election. It has proven like that in case of Rajasthan, where it did not project Vasundhara Raje ji as the chief ministerial candidate, and yet it almost swept the polls. In Madhya Pradesh, also it did not declare Shivraj Singh ji as the chief ministerial face, and it swept the polls. So this is a very close call. Unfortunately, the Delhi BJP does not have even one single leader who can manage to match Arvind Kejriwal, even after Arvind Kejriwal has lost much luster from his once very charismatic face.
Yeah. So let me again staying with Aam Aadmi Party, and in general, the impression is that they have been the pioneers in terms of offering freebies. But of course, they are not alone. Other political parties are also doing similar stuff here and there. But they, especially maybe free bus service for the women, or free electricity, etc., etc. And he also claims, why not? I mean, this has been like a flagship of Arvind Kejriwal, that he's here to take care of everyone and offering freebies. So, of course, that comes into question in terms of the overall economic balance. But when we look at the mindset of Delhi voters for this assembly poll, what do you think is the biggest point or factor which would tilt their votes towards Aam Aadmi Party or towards the call of Arvind Kejriwal? And let me also stretch my question. Uh, he he didn't give any explanation about the scams, etc., which would be anywhere convincing, rather than questioning the intent of central government and saying that they are out and about. And again, the reference about unfair ways of adding or removing voters, etc. So to bring once again in one line, what do you think is the USP of Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi Assembly Election 2025?
Unfortunately for Aam Aadmi Party, they don't have a attractive enough USP right now, because freebies, if you classify 200 units as freebies, which it is, and if you classify 20,000 liters of water as freebie, which is a major freebie, but these things have been around now for 11 years. So people have now taken it for granted. It has become a hygiene factor. If you take them away, people will be dissatisfied, but continuation of these schemes does not lead to any positive motivation. So it is net neutral. Okay, what they are promising right now is they are promising to the poor women, or as a woman of Delhi, 2,100 rupees. And what they have said is, right now we are starting 1,000 rupees, but we will not give until we are re-elected. And after once we are re-elected, we will start to give 2,100 rupees. But the antidote to that is that in Punjab also they promised this. It is the same Aam Aadmi Party, and Punjab it's been close to 2 years, and there is no tangible announcement, or there in no in foreseeable future there is no scope of such a freebie being rolled out. So I don't see I don't see them coming from any point of strength. Of course, they are doing a lot of gimmicks like announcing 16,000 or is it 18,000 rupee per month for all the granthis and all the pandits of the temple, which has unfortunately been lampooned by the people rather than being lapped up. So Kejriwal right now, his strategy of Aam Aadmi Party is to criticize the central government, and he is on a defensive because now he's admitting that I've not been able to clean the river Yamuna. Now, for the first time, he's saying because I cannot do it alone, because Yamuna is not originating from Delhi; it is flowing from the Himalayas, and there are many other states through which it traverses before it reaches this thing. This thing on 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 pollution also. Now he's taking a different stand because he had said once I come to power, I will make pollution a thing.
And he also said that don't vote for me in
It Yeah,
2025.
yeah. So
Yamuna is not clean. Yeah, yeah.
so I find Kejriwal to be a lot on the defensive. If you see overall the campaign, like you spoke about, and if you remember in one of the interactions with you, I said that people of Delhi have not really attached credible animosity. They have not shown any credible animosity towards this liquor scam. But I was wrong actually. More than the liquor scam, people are angry about the Sheesh Mahal theme. And suddenly BJP had gone silent on it. So I was wondering why BJP is not pressing it. This is because timing is very important in politics. Now they have come up with a very musical theme, okay, which is a short, snappy theme which runs for 15 seconds on your television and on your social media, and which tells you about the
Sheesh Mahal.
Sheesh Mahal that he has built. And they have shot this reel of various durations to highlight that he what he had claimed to live a life of an austere politician and what he has actually begun. So
So Sudhir, going away from politics and just like a layman thinking, what he might have been thinking, because this was a government space anyway. It was going to be with him for all the times to come. So to have that much amount invested in a government property and having that sort of a lavish, this is like a self-defeating kind of an act, as an outsider, as I see. Do you see it that way, or there might have been some logic, and what kind of thinking there might have been? Because the kind of opulence that we have seen and the amount that was spent on different say toilet seat and curtains, etc. I mean, it is beyond comprehension that what was he thinking to make that happen?
if you ask me honestly, it appears that Kejriwal had a brain fade. I mean, he's lost it. Here is a man who was sleeping, eating, dancing, jogging.
Honesty,
He was talking about honesty. More than honesty, he was talking about living the
simplicity.
life of almost a hermit like life. And he said, I am a karma yogi. I will not take a big bungalow. I will not take security. I will not take a big car with a siren. So
So yeah,
so he
so
so
mhm.
I think the public would not be so much bothered if somebody spent 50 crore on his bungalow, but because Arvind Kejriwal did it, so they see it as a loss, as a breach of trust by Kejriwal. So breach of trust, it haunts you and it hurts you more.
Absolutely, but let's see whether that is reflected in the votes that would come. And before I go towards BJP, let us take a look at the way Congress is handling itself under the leadership of Rahul Gandhi, most probably, mostly because that is the face of the party. And what is this that has caused that recent like sort of acrimonious exchange just before election from some of the Congress leaders, and of course Arvind Kejriwal minced no words when he wants to criticize. So there is this love-hate relationship, or when I need you, you are good. When I don't need you, you are bad. That sort of approach. is Congress responding to it with full force, or that has been the original strategy by some of the key players who are the face of Congress in this assembly elections?
Ashokji, my view is slightly different from the view which is being propagated in the mainstream media and social media. I think personally, ever since Khadgeji has become president, Rahul Gandhi is losing some grip over the party affairs. And why I say so? Because if you ask me, in the Haryana elections, uh, people, journalists who cover the Congress beat regularly, they tell me that it was the local leadership of Haryana which did not want to give even an inch of space to Aam Aadmi Party. Similarly, Rahul Gandhi himself and Priyanka Gandhi also perhaps would not have been so much averse to some kind of a understanding, electoral understanding with Aam Aadmi Party, but the core people who are close to close to the president, and they don't want to leave, and they don't want to be seen on the same platform as Arvind Kejriwal. So Congress strategy has been largely a confused kind of a strategy. So perhaps they wanted the impetus to come from the side of Arvind Kejriwal. Arvind Kejriwal is a very, very wily politician. Delhi is a turf. Haryana was not a turf. Delhi was a turf. And he will be doing a great service to his own party if he takes the initiative and goes. That means he's coming from the point of weakness. That in his battleground where he is the supreme leader, he has to go to Congress. So he will never do that. So a lot of time has been wasted. Of course, there is one Mr. Yadav who's the head of Congress in Delhi. I am sure if you ask even the congressmen, they do not know whom does he represent or who he is. Sandeep Dixit is appearing on television more, but he does not hold any formal position in the DPCC, which is Delhi Pradesh Congress Committee. Of course, he is pitted against Arvind Kejriwal in New Delhi. So the strategy of Congress is largely disjointed, but the fact is that Congress has been able to attract a lot of minority vote. Although minority vote in Delhi Assembly is not substantial, yet there are at least 7 to 10 out of 70 constituencies where it is a substantive community. So my guess is, and also in scheduled caste votes, I think Congress will be able to wean away those votes by default. By default, not by any designed effort by Congress. So Congress campaign is lacking in bite.
I think this minority votes, Aam Aadmi Party has also tried to woo in several ways, and we have seen some of the videos where he has spoken in front of the Muslim community, and so there is that approach where there is overlap between Aam Aadmi Party and Congress. But let's look at BJP, and there was one major election campaign addressed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, where he uh, very eloquently and as is his approach in a logical fashion, he brought out certain points where he questioned what approach Aam Aadmi Party has adopted. They also promised we will bring this, we will bring that, which if some voters only think about the freebies and there was no sort of a match kind of a freebie being offered. So I don't know how it is going to play out down the line. But let's look at another area, which is the BJP's leadership. And there have been some reports where they said that now BJP has announced the chief ministerial candidate, which you earlier said has not. And by the time our viewers are seeing it, we don't know what is going to happen. But then this name of Nupur Sharma was also coming and going, etc. Now, this brings me to the other reference where you mentioned about Aam Aadmi Party offering certain remunerations for granthis and priests, Hindu pujaris also. Now, that communal sort of polarization, do you see that is likely to play out more prominently? So far, my understanding or my observation says that that is not going to be the highlight for Delhi Assembly election. But how do you see it?
I completely agree with you. See, the core Hindutva voter is always with BJP. I mean, it's pan India kind of a thing. If you discount some of the southern states, the core Hindutva voter, people who are who are from the heart passionate about Hinduism, they will never go away from BJP. That is one thing. So Kejriwal is very clever. He's trying to brand himself as a party which is also pro-Hindu, but and it is deliberately trying to say that in terms of adherence to the tenets of Hinduism and the ideology of Hindutva, it is not far away or far removed from BJP's ideology without actually equating it. Okay. However, it is very careful not to be seen tilting towards the Muslim Samaj. That is why I said that space has been usurped by Congress. BJP's BJP's strategy has been largely a strategy of offense. It is questioning Aam Aadmi Party on governance. It is questioning Aam Aadmi Party on the basic infrastructure. Remember, Aam Aadmi Party now has the municipality also and the state also. So they cannot escape by saying, okay, MCD is with BJP. So they are attacking Aam Aadmi Party on pollution, on dirty water which is coming to the households, lack of proper sanitation facility. It is also talking about Delhi slowly getting into the grip of a state which will no longer be plus in terms of its state of exchequer, misgovernance, the fact that too many of the MLAs are involved in corruption. Okay, so this is this is the plan, because in Delhi Bharatiya Janata Party is in opposition, and opposition largely try to cash in to the weakness of the opponent. And secondly, what Mr. Modi is saying, all the schemes which he had announced nationwide, there, for example, the health scheme, the Atal, I forgot the complete name, in which the every Nagarik is covered to the tune of 5 lakh rupees, special all the poor people. That is not applicable in Delhi hospitals. So they are talking of how Delhi is the people of Delhi are missing out because of the reluctance of Aam Aadmi Party to embrace those central schemes which will benefit them. So it's a strategy, nice and sound. I wish they had capped it with a chief ministerial face, but then they are sharper than you and I, so we don't know.
So
Yeah,
I will not question who is sharper, who is not sharper. But I think you are right in saying that politicians know what they are doing
right.
is our understanding. But when we are analyzing and we are trying to see how the youth of Delhi is finding its inclination in politics, sometimes one feels that many youths are kind of lukewarm towards political happenings, and there is not enough interest. And whether that is good as far as the health of democracy is concerned is again another concern. Now, you being a columnist, but also a professor teaching at several colleges, management oriented. But when you interact with youth, what do you see? How do you feel their mind is with respect to XYZ leaders or politics in general, or the role that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has played as leader and has done what he has in terms of India's global image? Do you see that trickles down somewhere when the assembly polls take place?
Definitely, a lot of first-time voters have been added. The constituencies are it's a great mix of constituency. Delhi Kent is the smallest constituency, only 70,000 votes. Buradi with 4 lakh votes. It's such a eclectic kind of a mix. But I think the first-time voters, for the first time, I am not finding first-time voters as enthusiastic as they were in the last elections, or as they were in the general elections, Lok Sabha elections. Perhaps this could be. Sometimes what happens is, if the country is growing, if the economy is growing, and life around you is also growing at a pace which is not inimical to you, everything which is happening around you is something which may not excite you really, but it does not do any harm to you, even then, even then, the excitement towards voting is goes down. I will not call it a completely negative sign. I rather take the good points from it. That the country is calm, the country is consistent. We are going ahead, and we are still the largest, fastest growing economy, not only among the emerging markets, but even when we had a small dip this time, so a lot of economists have observed that this is just a blip. Whatever good schemes we have rolled out economically, in term they will generate more employment. Of course, there is a lag, there is a lag period. So generally, if the voters are not so enthused about it, that means they are happy with the setup. So I think there will be a good, I think there will be a good turnout of 65%, 65
Yeah.
70%.
So thank you on that. And as we conclude, another important aspect, whether it is election or the way personality profile rests in the minds of the people, is the role that media plays. Now, there has been a lot of criticism of Modi government that it has brought major mainstream media in India, and there is lack of fairness, or there's Godi media and all that. But then again, that similar criticism has been on Aam Aadmi Party, that they have spent ridiculous amount of money in advertising so that press would not be critical to them, etc. Now, how do you see is common man getting a balanced picture through media for various political parties and leaders?
See, what has happened, and it is happening every year. I find that the importance of mainstream media is getting diminished. But the vibrant social media, for example, if you see a lot of former patrakars or journalists who are no longer employed by big media houses, and yet they have a large following on YouTube. You will also find that a new breed of YouTubers have come who have massive following, uh, and they are considered to be representing the balanced picture. You will also find some of the journalists who work in the social media, and yet they have a channel. Okay, so in a way they are competing against their own channel for the space. How ethical it is, I do not know. But I think by and large people are very intelligent. They assess how their personal lives are impacted on a day-to-day basis, and then they find a correlation between how their life are impacted and governance and the eligibility of their candidate. I think people are very smart. At the right time they will take the right decision.
So that right decision taking capacity of voters would choose which leader is appealing to them, and out of the three, only one is actually a candidate in the Delhi Assembly. So that gives additional weightage to Aam Aadmi Party's claim, partly or partly may not be. But what happens, we'll have to see. We do need to wait and watch. But the analytical views that we have shared, I think that gives us overall big picture of Delhi Assembly elections. And as we conclude in 20 seconds, if you were to weigh on, do you see Aam Aadmi Party coming back?
Like this, as I told you, it will be a very dangerous prediction. But I think they are slightly ahead in the race. But but BJP can pip them to the post.
Yeah, of course.
It's
So,
possible.
so we'll wait and watch. And on that note, thanking Dr. Sudhir Bisht and thanking all of you for being a part of this conversation with lots of wishes. This is Ashok Vyas. Namaste.